Hi, Marguerite.
Hi.
Hi.
Miss David is sick.
Oh,
I'm sorry to hear that.
there she is. Hi, Sarah.
I haven't gone to bed yet.
Oh, good. She texted me. She said, "What time is the meeting getting? It's 7:30. I hope I don't fall asleep."
I'm still here.
That would be an early bedtime. I
Wow.
thought I went to bed early.
Yeah, as I get older, I'm like, oh, it's 8:30. It's time to go to bed.
Yep. Get my jammies on.
I
Curl
usually
up
do
with a
that
book.
right after I get home from work now. I put my pajamas on. Good times.
Something to be said for a cozy bed and a good book and jammies and
I know.
a cup of warm milk, believe it or not.
Yeah, I know.
Or what, warm whatever.
Tea.
I'm drinking electrolytes now. Those kids are really wiping me out these days. And I just got a new puppy, and now I have
You
3
did?
dogs.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
I would show Tater Tot to you, but he's sleeping with Jim.
Tater tot.
He's really cute.
How old is he?
He's 10 weeks old. We flew down to Florida to pick him up. He's another Jack Russell. He is super cute, but it was a very busy weekend.
Mhm.
Flying. I mean, we haven't flown in so long, and renting a car and getting hotels. I'm like, oh, but anyway, it was worth it. And let me see if I can show you a picture.
So did he fly home with you or you drove
Yes,
back?
he flew
Yeah.
back with us in a little carrying case. That's him.
Aw.
He's
He
really,
wearing a bow tie?
he's wearing his little harness.
Oh, I thought he was wearing a bow tie.
No, he does have a bow tie though. So we
Oh.
have a bow tie. Mhm,
Cute.
mhm.
What's his
Susan?
personality like?
He was really quiet until the day, and now I think he's kind of coming into his own. So he was like zooming around, and my other 2 dogs are kind of like, what's going on? Are you going to take this thing back?
Susan, it's fine, but we just have the picture of your husband. If you can join with video, if you can work that out.
Oh, wait a minute.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
You
So
were
this-
just talking.
Think
go
this will
ahead.
be our group tonight.
Okay.
We have quorum.
Yep.
Susan, do you want me to give you a second?
Oh, I
It's
don't.
fine. It's fine if you just want to have a photo.
We do love that photo.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay, go ahead. I'm trying to figure this crazy thing out.
Okay. All right, so I'll call this meeting of the Youth Commission, South Bay Youth Commission to order at 7:34 p.m. on October 11th, 2022 via Zoom. The first order of business is to review the minutes of the meeting from September 13th, 2022. Did anyone have any edits or comments on the minutes? May I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of our September 13th, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Sarah Micas,
Yay, nay, yay.
Marguerite Landry.
Aye.
Oh, hey, that's what it is. Nancy Sutton,
Aye.
Lauren Ritchie, aye. And Susan has dropped off, but I feel like she'll be back in a minute. But we can go ahead. The director's report. Highlights, Sarah. Whoops, now I can't hear you.
My cat is literally laying on the keypad right now and he muted me. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Jack. Okay. Let's see. What do I want to highlight from the highlights?
Highlight of the highlight.
Highlight of the highlights. It was it's been a big couple of months for outreach. Not much is listed here, but we were kind of finishing up all of the outreach that we did at the schools with a Trottier open house. And we've been doing a little bit more planning for our outreach at Heritage Day. That was was yesterday. Wow. And thank you to anybody who came out to help us with that. It was a beautiful day. And I think the wheel of self-care that we had on the table was a nice attraction for people. We have coming up on the 22nd, Trunk or Treat, which is probably our favorite outreach opportunity. That's through the rec department, because we're doing outreach in costume. And some of us in the department get really into it and enjoy that opportunity to interact with some of our youngest residents and give out information out about the department. This year we'll do that. We were so excited to do Trunk or Treat last year. We completely forgot to give any information, not even a sign as to who we were. So this year, this is only the second annual. So this year we're better prepared for that. We've done a lot with training. This past month, Megan and I have been working on, I should actually give more credit to Megan. Megan's been working on helping me solidify an annual training schedule for staff. Really, it's just formalizing it, identifying particular trainings that we think are important for staff to take annually, depending on their role in the department. Some of them are for everybody, some of them are for specific staff. We had our first all staff train, actually two of them. We do our usual Alice training. We had Officer Landry come out to the department to review that with us. But we also did a training on vicarious trauma. So essentially those of us working day in and day out with people who are struggling and who are experiencing ongoing trauma or have a history of trauma, it can be very wearing on the providers. So I really wanted to create a culture in the department that highlights the importance of self-care, and so that was what this training was about. So we've had a number of trainings happen this month. I'd really like to give kudos to Shannon too. She's been working really hard on finding ways, creative ways to bring QPR and other workshops to the community. So she provided QPR for the fire department. That was at the end of September. Oh, that's why. I was like, why are some of these things not on here? Because this is September dates. She also teamed up with Be Well Northborough, which is an initiative in Northborough to offer a training in Northborough, but that was for both communities. And that had great attendance. And from both of those, we've had a lot of new opportunities pop up. So we're very excited about that. I've been doing a lot in terms of searching for IT solutions. I feel like every week I'm doing a demo with something different. In fact, I had another one today that I'm really excited to talk to you about in the context of our budget discussion. And lots of things to highlight that are coming up. I talked about the 2 outreach opportunities, more trainings. Shannon is working on, she's debuting yet another workshop that's the complement to Listen with Love. It's called Say It with Love, which is about how to get your own needs met in a relationship without sabotaging the relationship. Not always easy to do. And she's also, you probably have heard of the book, How to Talk So Your Kids Will Listen and Listen So Your Kids Will Talk. She's developing a training on that, but geared towards parents of teens. So, oops, are you guys still there? This cat.
Yeah.
He's turning everything off.
We're there.
Okay, great. So that's really the highlights that I'd like to highlight. You see our stats there. I do want to mention, you probably maybe noticed that I offered a different progress report, so to speak, on our strategic plan. The other way I was writing it was really becoming difficult for me to sort of say what was new, what was still the same status. And it was just, I kind of just wanted to give you the current status of things. And so I provided that for you here. You'll notice a lot of them are done. The challenge with some of these strategies that we came up with is that there's no sort of distinct endpoint. It's, have we addressed this at all? And some of them are you know, done, like reassign need-based services to our administrative assistant. That's done. That's not an ongoing thing. So I just want to mention that it's just a different format, different way of sharing the information.
I liked that format, by the way.
Oh, good.
Very easy to read and see what's updated and.
Yeah. Great. Much easier for me to write, so that's a win-win. So I don't know if there's any questions on what's written in this month's report.
I just had one question about the operating budget and the donation account.
Mhm.
It says the donation account balance is $3,438 and 39 cents. Did that include the laptop? Has that already been taken out?
Yep, that's already been taken out.
Okay, so we're just pending the language program then.
Yeah, and that's really been earmarked so that if we need it, we have it. If you recall, when we had a conversation about how much to set aside, we really didn't know. So that number has been set for quite a while. And actually, Lauren, you're highlighting for me that that's a mistake, because we actually went ahead and encompassed that into our operating budget. So we no longer need to earmark those funds for telelanguage.
This year, right?
Yes, that started this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So that can be stricken from this report, that there's nothing in the donation account right now that's earmarked for anything. You will notice, compared to, I feel very proud of us because collectively, the donation account balance was quite high when I started as the director, and we've done a good job at identifying needs within the department that we don't have funding for within the operating budget to help spend some of that money down to benefit the department and the residents we serve. So it's getting lower. We have about $3,500 in there right now. And so that's not necessarily a bad thing.
That's all the questions I had on that. Any other questions on the director's report? Friends update. We don't have any bullet points today. Does anyone have a Friends update to share, or I think,
I'll just share their meeting right now.
right,
So I'm sure we'll have some updates next time.
okay. So outreach training for the strategic plan to strengthen the Youth Commission by making sure that we all know what to say in a public situation where we're in outreach, and people may ask us questions about the youth and family services.
So am I still muted? No,
No.
I'm unmuted. Okay. So yeah, we were talking about this because we're very, very grateful to you all for your help with coming to community events to talk about the department and the services. Sometimes it can feel like an awkward situation when somebody asks questions and you're not sure how to answer it. And I would really love for you to, we really appreciate your help so much that we want you to feel more comfortable with, you know, you don't have to give all of the ins and outs. But I think the idea was, instead of scheduling a different meeting entirely, that we would carve out some time over the next several meetings just to maybe go a little bit more in depth about some of the information. And I'm pairing that along with what we actually give out to people, so that you have some association with the information and what we're handing out. We have lots of different handouts, but in particular, we have this, what we call a one-pager, which really is to summarize the 3 categories all in one place. So tonight, looks like I cannot screen share. Are you able to change that, Lauren?
Sure, just a second.
So for tonight, I'm just going to go over the first of the 3.
Did that work for you?
Let's see. Yep, it did.
Okay.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to try to make it, well, I don't want to make it too small. All right. Is that okay? Sizing wise? Okay. So I'm just going to, for tonight, just go over what's on this first page, which is our mental health support services. And I can capture all of that in one shot here. So this is actually, I would say, the category that gets the most use in our department. So when I'm sharing this information with people, I like to highlight that our town's operating budget and staff salaries are paid for through the town budget, which means that we in turn are able to offer all of our services free of charge to residents of all ages. And I like to preface mental health support services with that information, because that's really a gem in any community, is to have such great access to mental health support. I'm biased, but I do think that we do a wonderful job as well. So we do like to think of our mental health support services. This is the big shift that we've made over the last several years, that we are offering interim support, or another way to think of it is as a bridge service. So ultimately, we're stepping in situations where there's an urgent need, or a need that should not go unsupported while waiting to find a longer term provider, or in cases where there's clear short-term goals. So I think you've probably heard me give the example before that college students are a perfect example of that. They're going through a transition, often they're leaving town or leaving the state. And so we're helping them to prepare for this really big step in their journey. So, and we really like to step in situations like that, because if a college age student was to wait to find a long-term provider, by the time they finally get a match, they're long gone at that point, because it takes quite a while to find somebody. So we like to remind people that our services are free of charge, that they're a short-term interim support. And we like to also highlight how accessible we are, that you are likely to get a probably not same day appointment, but within the same week. If it was an urgent situation, we often make it work so that a person can be seen the same day. So this list that's in front of you here kind of highlights from top to bottom the lesser hands-on services all the way up through the more intensive ones, if that makes sense. So therapy, referral support, this isn't actually the work that we're doing, but this is where one of our first steps that we take with people is that if we know right away that they need mental health support, and that it's probably going to be more than we're able to offer them, one of the very first goals that we have with anybody we work with is, let's find you a long-term sustainable support. And we do that through interface referral service. And I hope I've mentioned to you guys before a newer resource that we've learned about, which is Behavioral Health Partners of Metro West. They offer services similar to Interface, not exactly the same. They are a much, much smaller operation. There are only 3 full-time staff that work for this office, and but they are another option. So when we have people calling looking for referral support to an outside provider, we tell them, call Interface, call Behavioral Health Partners, and keep looking on your own also.
Does Behavioral Health Partners cost anything?
It does not, but they are,
how's it funded then? How do they?
they're fully grant funded. They're fully grant funded. So Behavioral Health Partners is actually a partnership between 4 major agencies, and I hope I get this right. Wayside, SMOC, Advocates, and Spectrum, I believe. So those
are they associated with like Mass Health, or would it be for somebody who had, like, I don't know, Blue Cross Blue Shield?
They will look for private insurance.
They will. Their first course of action is typically to refer to one of those 4 major agencies first. So they try to refer to SMOC, Advocates, Wayside, and Spectrum first. And if that's not the direction that the resident wants to head in, they will also help with, as Sarah just said, looking for private practice clinicians. That's not as much their wheelhouse. So, you know, sometimes we push Behavioral Health Partners a little bit more if we think that one of those 4 agencies is going to be a good fit for the family we're working with.
I've had experience with them, and they actually are very, very, very helpful.
That's
and
great.
I would highly recommend them. I mean, it was pre-COVID, but they were timely and supportive. So I think it's definitely a good resource. So
That's great. Just to give you frame of reference. So yes, they're similar in what they do, somewhat different. In terms of their capacity, the last report I got from them, they had served 11 Southborough residents over the course of 3 years. which is, I'm not 100% clear on their reporting, whether it's those are people that they successfully matched a service to, or if those were just the number of people that called. That part I'm not clear on. This is sort of a newer resource for us to be using or regularly using. So we're still becoming acquainted.
Yeah, do they only work with certain towns?
They do. They will only work with certain towns. And Southborough was one of them. The rest of them are outlined on their website. Yeah. And we have more information. When we give people their phone number, it lists all of the information on that. We have a flyer. So actually, when we're giving out, when we're doing outreach, a lot of times, along with this one pager, we're giving Interface's phone number, and we're giving Behavioral Health Partners flyer with all of their information.
I have to say, at Heritage Day, I was shamelessly handing out the Interface postcard to just about everybody who came by, assuming that if they didn't need it, they'd know somebody who might need it, and kids took it.
Oh, good.
There were like younger people who took it, not like children, but teenagers and stuff. And I think that's a good idea, to find ways to get that postcard out there, because it's got the number, and I know I gave it to somebody who said she had no idea it existed, and she was interested. So I think that postcard's very effective.
Great. We did add a sticker, just so you guys, maybe somebody saw this. We added our phone number on a sticker onto the Interface postcard. People do not have to go through us to contact Interface. We are the community liaison to Interface, though. So if somebody had questions like, can they help me with this? Or I don't, is this a good fit for me? Should I call them? Am I at that stage yet? We want them to know who they can contact to get more information.
Can a
When you go
kid who's 15 call up and call Interface?
They cannot. They
You
have to have a
major.
parent. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Is there some, oh no, you can just call. And then there's something on their website that you can fill out, isn't there?
That might be new if there is.
I feel like I remember filling out insurance information and a brief description of needs.
Okay.
And someone called me back.
Okay. Yeah, that might be, if it's just posted on their website, that's new information for me. It's possible too that they sent it to you, but
They might have.
yeah. But either way, I do know that they're exploring other options to manage all of this intake of information in a more streamlined way. So I think they're making steps in that direction, which is good.
But they may have made the change because at the time I spoke with them, they were really overloaded. So it might have been that I called and I got redirected to their website to fill out information so that they could get back to me.
Okay. Great. I'll have to check that out. I haven't looked at it in a while.
I don't know if that change is permanent or not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it should be, I think.
It is helpful, to have the information right there.
Yep. And another avenue to take to get the wheels in motion. So the next, go ahead.
Just one quick thing. If you're out doing outreach and people are interested in the services, but don't know really where to go, where do you think their point of entry should be?
They should call us.
Okay.
Yep. One of the services we provide is help navigating where to start, navigating through this system. In fact, what a beautiful segue, Sarah. I was going to move on to the next one, which was no commitment mental health consultations. And what that means is really, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I really need to talk to somebody to find out if I even need to be concerned about this. Maybe this is totally normal, maybe it's not. So if anybody wanted to talk to a mental health professional otherwise, they might find a friend that they know. who works in that field or something like that. But if you wanted an objective opinion, wanted somebody to chat with about what's going on for you, and you wanted access quickly, instead of going through your insurance, finding somebody who has an opening, making an appointment that's 3 months out from now, you can just call us and ask to have a conversation with one of our clinicians, and we will call you within a couple of days of your call, or even have you come into the office if that's more comfortable. So we say no commitment there because we want people to know that just because you had a conversation with us doesn't mean you now have to enter into therapy or anything else that we offer, which I think is one of the nicest services we have to offer, because sometimes you just need objectivity and someone with that experience to know what to do next. I do want to just take one step back. One thought I had is at events like Heritage Day, you might encounter people who don't necessarily live in town. If that's the case, or let's say you're talking to a Southborough resident who's there with family members and they're wondering if their town has Interface. Interface's website has a nice list right on their main page of communities that have a contract with them. So I often say, hey, listen, take the information anyway. As Marguerite was saying, she was just giving them out to everybody because if they can't use it, they may know someone who can. Encourage them to go to the website and find out if their community has it, because a lot of them do. So that's one of those services that you should not hesitate to share information about. A lot of these other ones are for Southborough only. But there's a chance that the community they live in may have Interface also, or be a Metro West community and be covered by behavioral health partners too. Okay, so then moving on to mental health assessments. That is sort of when somebody calls us and let's say we've had a consultation with them and we don't feel clear that we have a good understanding with just the information we've got in front of us as to what this person needs or how they'll respond to counseling, or if there's something else that would be a better fit for them. And so our mental health assessments, we basically put our detective hat on for 2 to 3 months. And through a variety of different activities, we'll try to better understand what is happening for this person and make clinical recommendations. So some of those activities include meeting with the individual who's in need of support, seeing how they respond to counseling, trying some different strategies with them, really getting a better assessment of what's going on. We will talk with collateral contacts. So we call doctors, we talk to teachers. Sometimes I feel like I'm a investigative reporter. All of this with written permission and consent from the families. So we'll talk to any other providers that are involved. If there's a former therapist or a doctor who the family is very close with, who knows the child or the person well. We will read other reports or assessments that have been done. And so all of these things we do, and we work in consultation with each other to really fine tune what we think is happening for this person. We can provide a diagnosis for them if they meet criteria for one, which may help the individual be eligible for certain services, which can be very helpful, and we'll make recommendations at the end. So we might say, yes, this person would benefit from counseling, or we really think that this person could pursue individual counseling, but really to resolve this issue, we're looking at family counseling being a better option. Or this person actually needs occupational therapy services or physical therapy, or may need an educational intervention of sorts, and we might recommend contacting the schools. So that's really what our assessments are about. And we provide all of this information in a comprehensive report. So we're actually providing them with a product at the end for them to take and use however is helpful to them. So they may take it to their child's school, they may take it to their child's doctor, and so that's sort of that's a distinct service that we provide, that has a beginning and an end, and it's sort of one of our more short-term but in-depth services. We also have, am I okay to move on? Are there any questions about assessments? Okay. We also have mental health skills trainings, which are sort of another stepping stone between having no counseling and being in outpatient counseling. This is for people with emerging concerns. So for example, we have an anxiety skills training that we're offering right now. And this is for young people ages 10 to 18 in Southborough who may be experiencing some symptoms of anxiety. This program's not for people who have had long histories with anxiety, lots of different types of treatment, maybe are on medication. So this is for somebody who maybe has some emerging concerns. And what we do is we spend 8 to 10 sessions meeting with the individual. We spend some time assessing their anxiety, their coping strategies, the effectiveness of said coping strategies, and then we help them fine-tune their tool belt, so to speak. And we're doing skills trainings like this because outpatient counseling is not necessarily needed for every person who's experiencing some distress. And so we're trying to diversify the types of services we offer so that we can reach more people, essentially.
What's the age bracket for that, Sarah? Sorry, it didn't stick in my
That's okay. That's 10 to 18 years old.
Okay, 10 to 18.
But if you get that wrong, obviously we want to limit the amount of information that's on this piece of paper here.
Mm-hmm.
You can just say Southborough Youth, and we can let them know what the ages are when they call us. So that's kind of the model that we're trying, another type of service we're trying to offer for residents as sort of an in-between service, so that not everybody is entering into a much more in-depth service than maybe they need. It's not necessarily in their best interest either.
Is this piece of paper going out to the people who are seeking help, or is it just for the Youth Commission?
This is what we give to residents. We gave this out at Heritage Day.
Okay.
So this is us in a snapshot. So here's all of the mental health services we offer. On the backside, here's all of the prevention programs and the social services we offer. So it's a lot of information. Most of the time, when all else fails, we just say, just give us a call and we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you, and then we will recommend what we think is the best course of action.
All right, now tell me to shut up, but I think that
no, I'm not going to do that.
It sounds very formal, and I think if I were in a fragile place, I might find it intimidating.
Okay. That I'm sure is true. I'm sure that's true for some people. I think for some others, they have lots of experience with the mental health field and may want to know, how is this different than what I'm getting for my kid through their therapist's office, or how is this different than the counseling they're receiving at school? So it's hard to have this one pager, and we also use this when we're giving presentations to people who don't necessarily need our services, but people who we're trying to garner support from in town. So we want to sort of highlight all of the different ways we're helping people. So it's a bit of a one size fits all flyer, unfortunately. But that's why you guys, you know, should definitely feel
Well,
free.
if you want commission feedback, I think it sounds formal.
Okay.
And I think it might work for like the Board of Selectmen, but I think if you had a person in distress, it might sound, for instance, attaining their goals and assist in mental health, emotional, and social challenges that interfere with daily functioning. It sounds kind of businesslike to me.
Okay.
And I might consider, if you're going to hand it out to people, this is just me, that you might consider putting it in a, I mean, you guys are all so warm. This does not sound that warm to me.
Sure.
I would, if I were like putting it out there, I would aim for warmer. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, that's just
I
when you redo it. I'm happy to.
I agree with Marguerite. I mean, this is great if it was part of, you know, I don't know, like the strategic plan or something like that. But I think if you are handing something out, you have to kind of connect with the people. And, you know, maybe you can have like just some things at the top, feeling blue. Do you have an anxious teen? Some of the things that people might actually be feeling, you know, overwhelmed, yeah, whatever it might be. Here are some of the things, and you could actually just have little bubbles or boxes. You know, we can refer you to help you find a long-term therapist. We can provide short-term therapy. We can, you know, make an assessment so you can have a better idea of how to move forward, that kind of thing. I think it definitely needs to be, the copy needs to be tweaked to target the audience. And I feel like that I agree with Marguerite. It's very formal, and I like her ideas a lot. So
Sarah, you just rewrote it in a really warm way.
I do want to add that we have flyers for each of these things, that those tend to go out to families through the schools and things like that. This is a one size fits all. We have various ways that we're advertising the information, and I'm happy to share those with you. Those might be more in line with what you're talking about, because we really limit the amount of information that are on those flyers so that they sort of get to the heart of what it is that we're advertising.
It's just the thing when it's put in very Latinate, like business-like language, like you know, instead of saying all SYFS clinical services are confidential, it's like you could say it in such a way that we guard your, you know, your privacy is secure, or something like that. But just, it seems like it seems like nobody is talking to nobody in this, and I think it would be very effective if it was a we was talking to a you.
Okay.
That's just, it's just a question of, if you were saying we can help you with this, I think it would be a whole different diction, and it might, because what you're providing is wonderful, and you guys, every time anybody deals with you, they come away saying, these are the nicest, most supportive people. So I'm just thinking, is it if you're
coming through in this
sending
piece of
it
paper
to potential clients who are in some kind of stress and pain, that there's a way to get the warm into the language and include all the information.
Yeah. What I might do, because this paper does serve other functions other than tell people what everything we do on one piece of paper, is that I might adjust this so that this be used for Board of Selectmen, for example, or somebody else who is a supporter in town who needs to know, or another provider for that matter. Because this language, I can't change the word confidential, and I can't change the words licensed mental health professionals. I need to, there's no other way to say those things. or there is other ways to say that, but I need the word confidential to absolutely be in
I
there.
mean,
but
I just grabbed that out of the
yeah,
air.
yeah. I do think your feedback is really welcome, because you're looking at it from a different lens, and I appreciate your saying that we are warm people. We pride ourselves on being warm people. If that's not coming across in this, then
no,
then
it's coming across very chilly, actually, to me. It's coming across like we are a business, and this is, you know, our business program. It's I don't understand how it's completely losing your enormous warmth. I mean, just to hang out with you guys is sort of like, oh, I feel better.
Yeah.
So is there a way to get this into the language?
Okay. I'll work on
I mean,
that.
if you want me and Sarah to whack it back and forth a couple times, it'd take us no time at all.
Yeah, no, I think I'd like to work on it, if that's okay, because as I said, there's certain things that do need to stay in there. But I do think having some different versions for you all to look at would be helpful.
Well, if you looked at it this way, Sarah, if you look at the stuff that Interface sends out, it's got a different tone to it that is pitched toward selling the service, basically. And maybe that's kind of what we're doing here. We're kind of selling the service to people who made so many people. I mean, I was there for an hour and they'd say, what do you guys do? They'd say.
Yeah.
So I think it's an important document. I don't know. I'll shut up now. All right.
No, it's great. I appreciate feedback. I really do.
I do think a general public approach would be helpful, and even introducing some fun graphics, or, you know, people going, oh, I don't, you know, I'm anxious, or blah, blah, blah. Here's what we can offer you, you know.
If you don't mind, I just want to show you, I do appreciate your feedback. I am going to make some changes. I just want you to know, for example, let me just find our anxiety skills training flyer. So we have different flyers for different services, and those are used much more broadly. Let's see. Of course, I can't find it. I'll send it to you guys.
Yeah.
But it says very simply, anxiety, stress, time management, and with question marks. Call us at this phone number. It's much more layman's terms. And again, it's actually really hard. It's actually really hard to convey warmth through a flyer, which is why we actually really are trying to do as many presentations and get out there, so that we can say hi, and they associate our services more with the people, because all of us do a much better job of conveying warmth than flyers do. But I am going to work on it. I think it's good feedback.
The word with the question mark was exactly what popped into my head was everyone was talking. Just something like struggling question mark.
Yep.
So as a person who's been writing my whole entire life for a living, you can get a tone of warmth into it, and have it sound more like what Nancy just said, and Sarah, like a conversation. Just like if it's in a conversational tone, it can still be completely dignified and accurate, and it can use words like, you know, confidentiality, compliant, or whatever you want to do. But this is like a piece of board feedback. You know, feedback is that you might take advantage of your youth commission skill set. Sarah, I'm looking at you. Nancy, I'm looking at you. Lauren, I'm looking at you. So it's good that that in terms of like language stuff, I don't know, because you're the specialist in the human interaction. I've spent a lot of time writing words down. So, and I think, Sarah, you have too, right?
Yes, I have done a lot of writing, and it's all to a certain audience, and you really have to kind of finesse it. And I think you're right, Sarah Castle, that you have to have different layers of all this information. But what we hand out to the public at Heritage Day should be very kind of user friendly and, you know, accessible. So, and maybe kind of cutesy, who knows, you know, but we can, and if you need help, you know, I'm always here, Marguerite's here. It's like what I really love to do. So I can
Well, it
do
seems
it.
like step one really is to have us get as much information about the services as possible through these kind of programs. Like Sarah's going to do a few of these. And then as we learn all of the material more, I think we'll be in a better place to provide even more feedback. But I think once we see the whole scope of what she's providing, then we can provide more feedback.
I found one.
Oh, good. Yes.
Oh, look
I
at
love
that.
Yes, perfect.
Super cute.
So this is the kind of stuff that goes out through the schools
Yeah.
or when we're targeting specific audiences.
Mhm.
The other page, again, is a one size fits all that we have lots of copies of and give it out because we don't know who is on the other end of let me share one more for you. But again, I'm not discounting. I just want to give you guys more context.
Yeah.
Sorry, stop share. Oh, stop share. Why am I having trouble with this?
Screen sharing is so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
It really is.
Way of Zooming. Talk
Okay.
about anxiety.
Yeah.
All right, here is the anxiety skills training flyer, for example. So we take a very multi-prong approach when we're advertising. We've got lots of different sort of tools that we're using. But because we don't know at an event like Heritage Day, is this person going to need mental health services? Are they going to be needing social services? Maybe they're a potentially new Friends member and they're like, wow, this organization does a ton of stuff. How can I help? So we never know what to throw into those things. So Heritage Day certainly deserves a more less chilly flyer, as Marguerite said. So
Well, let's go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, for the purposes of the conversation today, I'm just trying to give you an overview of the mental health services. Maybe this is something that we could work on and then revisit. I don't know if that's agreeable to you all, but I know we have other things that need to be discussed. And really at the end of the day, because of what we all just were talking about, you could simply say, do you need help? Call Youth and Family Services, you know, and that's totally fine. I wanted you to sort of appreciate the scope of, like, they can call us one time and that's it, or they can get ongoing support, or they can help you with finding an outside provider, or so there's a lot of different options.
That's good for us to know.
Yeah.
The details of that.
Sarah, I think it would be helpful because we've been virtual for so long and we don't get to the office to see all your stuff and all your collateral material to support outreach to the community and promoting the organization and what they do. It might be helpful to have a show and tell at one of our meetings where we, yeah, you can screen share, you can show us whatever, but it would be helpful for us to see the kind of printed materials that are going out. And
yeah, if I was wise, I would have had, for today's conversation, a flyer that I could share with you for each of the things I'm talking about. I'm not wise, so.
Okay.
Um,
No,
neither
you're
am I.
overworked. Those
I'm a wise
little
guy.
school flyers are wonderful.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a give credit to Christina McCarthy for those.
Yeah, she
She's
does a nice
she's
job.
our Canva
Mm.
guru, so. Yeah, is that okay if we plan to talk about advertising a little bit more the next time or something?
Mhm.
Something like that, because we have
Yep.
a lot of different things we're advertising, so I do
Right.
appreciate your feedback on those.
And we might want to even just get through the things that you put out there to the community and then tackle the advertising aspect of it.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think for the most part, I had gotten through, let me go back to sharing this. So for the most part, I had gotten through things. I mean, the other pieces that I did not talk about were, we have plain old short-term counseling services. We offer therapeutic groups. So we do a lot of groups through the schools. And then we also have a substance use diversion program for teens, which is really an avenue to avoid the trajectory that some youth might be on in terms of developing an addiction, or the school may actually use this program in conjunction with an infraction that the student has had. So they may be able to take this course with us and have an expulsion taken off of their record or something like that. That's really up to the schools to decide. But so that's another program we like to let people know about.
So in California, if you get a speeding ticket, you can either pay the ticket and have it on your thing, or you can go to traffic school and ruin a whole Saturday by sitting in traffic school. So is this sort of that?
It's actually, we're very proud to say that this is not a wag your finger at anybody program. It's actually several weeks worth. It's well worth it to a young person to take this course. It's we actually we talk somewhat about the function of substances for this person. It's individualized, so it's not a group. So we talk about what role do substances play in your life. Okay, now let's build a life that's worth living, where you don't need that to feel fulfilled. So we spend a lot more time talking about other things that the young person enjoys and other environmental supports that would deter a person from wanting to continue using substances.
That sounds fantastic, actually.
Mhm.
It is great. It's an evidence-based program. It's not ours. It's a training that we received through BSAS, which is the Bureau of Substance Addiction Services. It's really a great program, and it does involve and require the participation of the young person's parents or guardians also. So that's another great aspect of it. And then this piece down here is just, again, reminding people that our services are free of charge to residents of any age. And we want people to know that we're licensed mental health professionals. A lot of times people are like, so a town department is offering this? What are they, like volunteers? Or we're licensed mental health professionals. We have graduate, we also want people to know up front that some of the work we're providing is being provided by graduate level clinicians that are under our supervision. Again, a lot of information, but for our purposes of today's conversation, I think it's important for you guys to know that stuff.
Mhm.
So.
Sarah, thanks for putting that together and as a presentation for us, because
Sure.
I think that clarified in my mind a lot of those mental health services that you provide.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Thank you. Happy
And they
to
also
answer other
need-
questions.
I had one question. I think you might have mentioned this before, but the short-term counseling,
Mhm.
is there a specific limit on it, or does it depend on the person?
Short-term could mean a month. It could mean one appointment. It could mean an entire year. And we say short-term, our first goal with anybody who's experiencing mental health concerns, who we think needs longer-term support, is to find them another provider. We have no idea how long that's going to take. And there's some situations where we have adjusted things for particular individuals because it's in their best interest. So we have, for example, a young man who started working with one of us, and it took him so long to get to where he is now that to send him elsewhere at this moment would be a disservice to him, and we have a lot of concerns about doing so. He's making a lot of progress, which is huge. So we're we analyze this information on a weekly basis. I meet with staff individually for at least an hour. Megan, I meet with at least 2 hours a week to talk about where things are, where we're headed, what's in this client's best interest, and how is this really sustainable? So we're looking for that child in particular. We're looking for the right opportunity to introduce another provider. We'll probably do some overlapping services for a while, but it really depends. It depends on the client and various circumstances. So we say short term so that people have the expectation that they can't just get settled in, that this is an active process, and that we're actively, if we think that you need something more than we can provide, we're going to actively look for that.
Thanks.
Sure.
Any other questions? All right, we can touch on the FY24 budget.
Okay. So our timeline is a little bit different this year because of the special town meeting. So typically the town finance team is asking us to submit our budget request in October. Now we're looking at, I think, early to mid-November. So it's a nice opportunity for us to chat about what the current budget is and what we might want to adjust. So let me screen share again. I have so many screens open right now. Hold on.
Just while you're fiddling that, is the bill for interface going to be split with the school system?
The bill for interface is on a very, it's being covered in various ways. So the current contract ends in December, so at the end of this calendar year. The next contract with interface is a 6-month contract because the town would like us to get it in line with the fiscal year and not the calendar year. So our next contract is from January 1st through June 30th, and that is being covered completely by the school department. The contract after that is a year-long contract, and that's being covered by ARPA funds. So that's not being covered by any particular department, but sort of still being covered by the town, if that makes sense.
That's great.
It is great.
Good negotiating.
Yes. What happens beyond that is anyone's guess. But we're funded with interface through June 30th of 2024.
That's fabulous. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Can everybody see the Excel spreadsheet here?
Yes.
So I have not yet calculated salaries, but essentially we've been told how many hours, full-time hours is for the year. And that Personnel Board has told us as a placeholder to do a 3% pay increase for all staff who are eligible. And eligibility is based off of the fact that you're full-time, or actually, I'm sorry, I don't think that it matters if you're full-time or part-time, but eligibility means that you've had a performance evaluation and that you meet the criteria for a pay increase. The person, I don't want to get into the weeds with it, but our staff generally always qualify because they're stellar employees. But we still go through the process of course, doing a performance evaluation with them. So I need to calculate salaries for FY24. We also have 2 employees who receive longevity bonuses once a year. So that will be another $1,000 here.
Now,
And that
which
will-
2 are those? Are those Megan and Shannon?
That's Megan and myself.
Oh, Megan and you. Okay.
Yeah. Shannon actually has been with us for quite a while, but because she was part-time when she started, she can't qualify to start accruing that number of years until she's full-time. So she became full-time in 2019, I believe.
All right. And do you write the performance appraisals for the entire staff?
I do.
Oh, that's a lot. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, if we think of somebody like Mr. Donovan over at the library, it doesn't quite compare. I'm fortunate that I have only the 4. Well, I don't write my own performance evaluation, but I just have the 3 staff. But yeah, it's a long process, but it's something they deserve. So really, I think there's nothing I can really do with this part at the top. So really what we're looking at down here is these line items and where we want to make some adjustments. I can tell you right away what I'm thinking. I don't have numbers written here because I need to sort of ponder this a little bit more. I'd like to keep employee training the same. Data processing / communications is really, I thought they were going to change this for us, but it's really software. I thought they were going to call it a software in this line item. But essentially what's in this line item right now is any funds we need for software. So therapy notes is included in this. The telelanguage is also included in this. I'm at a place right now, this is always so hard because you have to wait a whole year before you can access new funds. So it's hard to know when to ask for money. But I've had several demos and trials with other software systems. 2 in particular that I am very interested in. One of them, you're gonna laugh because it doesn't make sense necessarily, but I wish you were all there with me today. There is a service called My Senior Center. I don't know if anybody's heard of it or has any experience with it at all. But this was a software that was developed for senior centers, municipal departments. And it is a HIPAA compliant platform because a lot of senior centers have social workers that work in their departments. So it's different from my rec, which is what a lot of the rec departments use. So it's already sort of meeting more criteria for us than my rec does, which some of the other youth and family service departments have considered. It would allow us, hopefully that I've been looking for a HIPAA compliant database service where regardless of the type of service that we've provided for people, We can keep everybody in one place, have all their contact information listed, be able to keep track of what services they've participated in. We can search by last name, we can search by address, we can search by program or service, we can search by year of that program or service. It's very user-friendly. We can also use My Senior Center for program registration. So there is an outward-facing website that's available to residents. So anytime we have a new program, we create the parameters for that program, the title, the description, the date, how many people can attend, if there's a cost, etc. We plug that all into the system and it automatically becomes advertised on this outward-facing website for people to register.
Does the Southborough Senior Center use this?
They don't.
Do you know anybody who does use it?
Yes. In fact, other youth and family service departments are using this because their town has it already. I'm frankly, I think we are one of the only towns that doesn't use this.
Because I remember you were having a bad time last time we met with finding a software that was good, and this sounds like it would solve a lot of your problems.
I do think so. Yeah. So we can do program registration. We can do data collection and do so in a HIPAA compliant way. So we don't have to be afraid of, we don't have to come up with like code names to indicate what service somebody provided so that we're not running the risk of breaching HIPAA or confidentiality
violation, right?
Yeah, we have a way to do that. We can also correspond with each other through this platform. We can keep records and upload documents, keep files for people. There's also a part of the system that allows us to broadcast, which is not even something I expected to be part of this system, but what that allows us to do is that we can indicate who we want to, let's say we had that anxiety skills training flyer. It's only for youth ages 10 to 18, so we're not going to advertise it at Finn or Woodward because the students are too young. So this helps us, we can categorize people and we can target. So I had been looking at Constant Contact for that. I had been looking at onboarding yet another system to help us with our advertising efforts. I'm almost hesitant to do that, having learned that some of this can be done through my senior center, because really my goal has been to try to find as few different systems as possible, but ones that are good, so that I'm not navigating between 7 different software programs. So this, I was surprised to find out that I can advertise through my senior center also. The other thing that's really nice is the website that's outward facing is called My Active Center. So I could understand that it might be confusing for some people if they were doing a program with us and it said My Senior Center all over it. We can put our logo on this and have it customized for us, and it's myactivecenter.com, not My Senior Center. So that's promising. But even if we didn't use the outward facing piece of it, to me, the database component is so well worth it. And the cost is very affordable too. So it's only $1,500 for the year, regardless of how many users you have. A lot of these other services, it's $40 a month per user, for example.
Sorry, Sarah, I muted you accidentally. What is a user?
A user would be staff members. So,
Okay.
so because there's 4 of us that are full-time employees, if we were looking at another system, we would have, and if it was $40 a month per user, then it would be 40 times 4 per month. Just as an example. But so this is regardless of how many staff members you have, if you add interns, regardless, it's one flat rate for the year.
And is that could that be for the whole town if another department wanted to use it?
Oops. It could. They have another account that's called an enterprise account where you log in and you choose, let's say for Southborough, you choose Senior Center or Southborough Youth and Family Services. They do keep it separate because if we were to have all of our data mixed in with all of their data, it would get rather confusing.
Okay.
So he would recommend either 2 different accounts or do something that he called an enterprise account, which is a little bit of a different cost.
But it seems like for that amount of money, we could certainly afford it, and it would be more secure, and you wouldn't have to be getting tangled up in senior center stuff.
Right.
It sounds really perfect.
It does. It doesn't, so I'm going to highlight a couple of other things that I'm interested in, really one more thing that I'm interested in, which is called Tiger Connect. The one thing that my senior center does not do that we really still do need is a way to communicate back and forth with residents off of town email. Our only way electronically of communicating with them right now is through town email, which I would prefer to, it's our only option. So we have no other choices, and residents are fully informed about the risks of communicating that way, and they still partake. But we really ought to, given the nature of the work that we do, have another way of communicating back and forth with people. And so that is not something that my senior center has the capacity for. So we would have to be looking at a different service for that. And so that is, when you make an appointment with your doctor and you get SMS messages and things like that. I don't know if anybody here has a relationship with their doctor's office where they can actually communicate back and forth and send documents to their doctor's office through text. They can take pictures of things and send it, or they can.
It's my chart, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say my chart.
Yeah, this is all done through mobile connections or computer connections. But it's essentially a communication platform. So there's 2 different channels. One is for you to be able to collaborate with your coworkers on a confidential HIPAA compliant platform. And then the other channel is to be able to it's called patient engagement. So it's for you to have communications on a HIPAA compliant platform off of town email.
So Sarah, right now, if somebody calls you because their kid is suicidal or whatever it is, that whole conversation is on town email? I mean, if
they email, we don't email anything sensitive like that. But we can't stop people from emailing us in the first place, and plenty of people do. We do have part of our consent form a whole review of the different methods of communication that people can choose from, fully explaining the risks associated and explaining that our emails are considered public record as a municipal entity. And people can decide for themselves what they give consent for.
But basically they have no privacy in terms of the emails that they exchange with you right now. That sounds like it needs fixing.
Well, we generally don't correspond over email for that reason. Everything's over the phone or in person if it's sensitive.
Okay, got it.
But we will, with people's consent, we will go back and forth about scheduling appointments via email. But as soon as somebody reaches out to us with anything that's of sensitive nature, we do not respond to the email, we call.
And if you had a platform like MyChart, just saying, which is probably millions of dollars a year,
Right.
you would be able to communicate safely. I see what you mean about it. That.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we would actually be able to capture the conversations and keep them as part of their record.
Record. Yeah.
So that, you know, we have more history, more information. Legally, those conversations are supposed to be part of their record. So
that software was called Tiger or something?
Tiger, yeah, Tiger Connect.
And how much is that?
So that's one of those $40 a month per user. So Tiger Connect, I do want to preface all of this by saying I'm running it by you guys. It's not something I can necessarily run with. I might, after our conversation, I'd love to know whether I should put this in our line item or not, but I do have to go through the IT department too for their vetting process for both of these things, which I have not yet done. But Jay Montijo does know that I have been looking, as does the Municipal Technology Committee. So I'm not going rogue here. But I do need to circle back to them because they have some of their own security requirements that need to be considered for anything that we decide to take on. So,
Sarah, I have a couple questions about my senior center.
Yes.
Number one, how easy is it to get the data into the system? Does it have a interface that you can customize the types of fields that you like to collect on
Yes.
each of the client? Okay.
Yes.
And how robust is the reporting system? Can you tailor reports based on, you know, the types of information, the fields that you're collecting, and the ultimate data that you would like to get out of it?
Yes, which is one of the reasons I find it very attractive. I do wish there was a way to, I wish there was a portal of sorts that went with this so that people could enter their own data versus the way that it works right now is that we would need to be contacting them. I'm thinking of Christina. Christina would need to contact them. It would be a one-time thing, but contacting them to get them into the system and collecting that information, or you know, whoever that first point of contact is. Often Megan's doing that too. So
a client wouldn't have access to this database. This would just be purely for staff members to enter information and report on it. My recommendation is, if Christina's going to be doing a bulk of this, is have her sit, and if she hasn't already seen it, but have her sit with it and do a couple trial records put in there and see what she thinks, because a lot of times it looks great on the outside, but then when you really get into the nuts and bolts of it, you're like, oh, it doesn't do that. Oh. And I do have a big problem with the name, my senior center. I think that for branding issues,
but you just pointed out though that it's only a system that we log into.
Oh, that's true. Okay. So
nobody is the only thing that's outward facing is my active center. Which is still a little unclear, but it's better than my senior center.
They could have done a little, because the product sounds great and they really need to rename it, because they could reach a lot more markets if they gave it a different name.
Well, this product was made only for senior centers. It just happens by chance that it has been working for a number of social workers who are not working in senior centers. So I was introduced to this developer because I approached the president of the Mass Municipal Association Human Service Council to say, this is a big problem. We need software. All of us are floundering. And she works in the town of Acton, and she says, I know, I'm using my senior center and I'm not a senior center. So she said, what if we talk to the developer of that? He lives in town here. Maybe he could make us a whole new product. So I had this long conversation with him. He says, I am so sympathetic to your needs, but I don't have, that's like starting a whole new company. And
Yeah.
I don't have the capital and I don't have the bandwidth for it.
Yeah.
He said, so in the meantime, maybe I can give you a demo of my senior center and maybe it can fit some of your needs.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So
that's, you've done a lot of work on this. Yikes.
It has been a lot of work. And this is the sort of the first promising thing that I've seen where it's not so complicated and not so expensive. We're a tiny little department. We don't need, you know, some of the things people have proposed to us have been like astronomical in terms of cost and
No, the price tag, and if it's not front facing, so, you know, clients will not be, I mean, you could get over the name, so. Okay.
For what it covers, the price tag seems actually pretty reasonable to me.
Yes, definitely for data management, the system that's HIPAA compliant.
Right.
Is it cloud-based or?
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Sounds great. And then when I become a senior, I can just.
Well, I mean, the whole thing, I'm like, I said to Megan today, I said, you're not going to believe this statement, but I think that we might need to consider getting my senior center. And she was like, what? I was like, hear me out, hear me out. Again, this is very preliminary. So I guess going back to what we're talking about on this agenda is our budget.
Yeah.
So the line item that we have currently, 1,700, includes therapy notes, which we would like to keep. It's a possibility that something like my senior center, because it does have the capacity to keep records, but I'm just not sure that it will meet the full criteria that we need for mental health records. But it keeps a log of all your interactions with people. It keeps all of their information all in one place. You can search by whatever you need to search by. So anyway, that line item currently includes therapy notes and funding for telelanguage, and that is it. So I don't know. I feel like I'm at a stage where I'm not quite ready to ask for funding for either of those things, but we really need to move forward with some of these things. And if we don't put it in our budget request, I'm not sure where that funding would come from.
I would go ahead and put money in there.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
I mean, that's a pretty a low number for you know, software systems to support a department that deals with very confidential information. So
yeah, and it's also going to save a lot of woman hours in terms of staff time wasted, which you're having to do now because you don't have the right software. I mean, to me, it's like a no-brainer to get going as fast as you can.
I do want to add something I forgot. Year number 1 is $2,000 because of the onboarding process and all of the training. Every year after that is $1,500. So I'm mistaken on that first number. I don't know if that changes your opinion in any way, but.
And then the Tiger Communications, how many users would you have per month? Like, would that be one person or?
So I would like to have the patient engagement option for anybody that's providing clinical services and for our admin assistant. So really we would be looking at
probably 4 people,
four users. And that's at $40 a month per user.
160 a month times let's see.
19,
So I
20.
would say like $2,000.
Yeah,
And then if the other thing's $2,000, I would put at least $4,000 in there. I mean, I think what you're working on a shoelace right now.
It's also just if the advisory or the board of selectmen give you any trouble, just it's gonna save time
Mhm.
I mean, right now you're working around not having a system that's hours a week that's being spent, you know, that's payroll hours that could be saved. So I would just couch it like that.
Yep. Yeah, you're going to be automating a huge amount of your business. So
That's how I'd say it. Say we're wasting your money right now because we don't have this.
Right. Okay.
were you thinking of doing any other line item boosts in any other particular area, or is this your biggest area of concern?
Well, printing, we have been, as you all know, outreach has been a big goal of ours, which printing comes with that territory. Although we are trying to diversify our outreach by doing a lot more presentations about our services for people, which don't always require printing. The last several years, as several of you are aware, we have been having bags that we've been giving out to people. I really don't think that that's a sustainable thing to do. Those are pretty costly. They're nice. It's nice to pre-stuff all of those and just hand them to people. It's been very effective. We get a lot of people contacting us after having been to their child's open house and going home and reading our information. But those green bags, as nice as they are, they're costly. We hate to give out things that people are just throwing away, but we have tried doing some brown bags that we've purchased on WB Mason as an alternative. Anyway, we haven't really needed to adjust our line item here because we've had ARPA funding available to us and other pots of money that have come our way unexpectedly. And so as of now, we haven't really needed to, but without those things, if we were really to sustain the level of outreach that we've been doing, we probably would want to increase that line. My guess would be by like $500 or something like that, or maybe, you know, split the difference and do $250. That's if, you know, if we wanted to be a little more creative than giving people lots of pieces of paper. You know, some of these other town departments are doing pens and thumb drives, and we just don't, you know, we don't charge for anything that we do, so we don't have money coming in that can go back out in that form. So so that's one that we want to consider potentially increasing. Contracted services will probably be about the same. I did get a memo from our consultant that we work with that she is raising her rate by $20 an hour. So that is going to have an effect on either what we request or the number of hours we're able to work with her. So we either increase that or we decide to work with her fewer hours out of the year. In an ideal scenario, I would love to continue to work with her every week for an hour and a half. But you know.
So it's 56% increase because it's an increase of $2,800 a year, right?
This is from 2022 to what our current budget is. Yeah, so I haven't entered any numbers for 2024, but yes, that's
Mhm.
Yeah,
It will increase more, yeah.
right.
So,
more.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, Sarah, I just feel like I don't think we should be cutting corners with this. I think it's really important. And I think if we need to go in front of advisory, all of us sitting there making a case for this, I will do it. I mean, I think that it's really important that you get this. I think you guys
I'm so
need it.
glad you feel that way. Because I agree. And I have to often paint a picture for people that
Right.
we're talking about people's safety.
Yes.
And Rona, our consultant that we work with, provides our department and our staff an added layer of consultation, which is really critical in the mental health field for ensuring that we're making the right decision when we're taking care of people. So we meet with her once a week for an hour and a half to review cases and review our process, but we also have her available to us incidentally when we need her. So if we have a safety concern about somebody and say, we're not sure what to do with this, we can call her and typically within the hour have a conversation with her about what's happening. Actually, usually we don't call her very often, so usually she's even more responsive than that and says, can I call you in 5 minutes?
Essential. Yeah, I think it's essential. I think it's very, very important.
Well, it's also too, I mean, we're providing this service in a context where no one else is. We don't have at our disposal other clinicians to consult with. And so it's really.
Like you have a medical director or clinical service,
right.
You know. Yeah, no, I think this is really important. And for, you know, you also, it's kind of like, you know, professional development also, because she can add, it's an educational experience for you and the rest of the staff. She can provide information that will benefit you and your clients. So
and it's also like an insurance policy in a funny way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that I think is important to stress, you know.
One thing that's occurred to me is I've talked about Rona 100 times and nobody has met her. I would be very happy to ask her to attend a meeting if you all would like to know her. She has just become, she's not an employee, she's a contractor, but because she's been working so closely with the department and supporting the services that we're providing, I am happy. I would actually really value the fact that you guys know who she is and feel confident with who we're working with. She's got a really extensive background and is working with a lot of other youth and family service departments, which is how I met her. But so just, you know, let me know if that's something you're interested in.
I think that would be great. Yeah, let's put her on the agenda.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, I'd have to consult her schedule, but all right.
I know she's been very important, especially through COVID.
Yes, yeah. Office supplies does not need to change. Rec supplies is actually in our actual budget. This is an old version. It has the wrong title. It's program supplies now. That's another line that we would love to increase. For example, on a regular basis, Lauren can attest to this because I just asked her if I could spend $30 of donation account money or whatever it was, Lauren. But we are regularly through outreach needing, it's not always printing that we're looking for. So for example, trunk or treat, we try to get through the dollar store. We try to buy Halloween pencils or like, you know, spider rings or whatever to give out to kids. It's not something that we have a lot of money for in our budget. Heritage Day, we spent some money. We asked friends if we could use some of their unrestricted funds to buy some self-care. Actually, for those of you who came to Heritage Day, we had a wheel of self-care. And so people could spin the wheel, and if they landed on prize, they got to pick out a self-care item to take home. So it was like, I went to the dollar store and I got chapstick and hand lotion and sleep masks and journals and all sorts of stuff like that. Just, you know, silly little things. But all of those little things add up. So Trunk or Treat, Heritage Day, and then two of the other sort of bigger things that are eating up this line are Mental Health Awareness Month. As you all know, we have not done Celebrate Wellness in quite some time. This is the year we're hoping to bring it back, but that $2,000 is going to go quickly for anything that we hope to do that's actually of interest to the community, that catches people's eye and causes them to say, I would really like to go to that. So Mental Health Awareness Month, and then we're trying to find ways to incentivize. I hate that I'm saying this, but a lot of our workshops are really fantastic workshops, are not as well attended as we would like. And so we're trying to strategize ways to incentivize that, like if you register, or if you come to our training, not only will you get entered into a drawing, but so will your friend that you brought along with you. Things like that, or even offering water at, you know, bottles of water or cookies, something like that at some of our workshops. Just little things to help make things a little bit more attractive. So all of those things, you know, add up. I'm sorry that I don't have a number for you. I'd like to look back at sort of over the last few years what we've asked friends for or used out of the donation account for some of these things. As I said at the top of the conversation, our donation account funds are really getting pretty low, so we're not going to be able to keep doing that. So we may want to think about increasing our program supply line item. Before you comment on that, one thing that I want to decrease is our last line item here, which is in-state travel. If you look back at the actual numbers from previous years, so these few, I know we've had this conversation before about not wanting to diminish our capacity to return to pre-COVID, our pre-COVID capacity. We were, what year was that? 2019, we were doing a lot. We were a lot closer to 2000 in terms of our mileage expenses. We just have shifted so much. I am doing a lot more in-office appointments than anything else, which means that I am not getting as much mileage reimbursement, and I intend to keep it that way. And our interns are doing a lot of the school-based counseling, and they are not eligible for mileage reimbursement. So plus the addition of online appointments with people has really meant that we are probably not likely to go back to needing $2,000 for mileage. So instead of taking that out, I'd like to probably just adjust that and put that elsewhere, if that makes sense.
Sounds good to me.
So I am likely, we're going to have another meeting before this will be due. So I'll have better information for you, but I just wanted to sort of get a preliminary sense of people's thoughts about some of these changes.
So you know my philosophy, Sarah, is you won't get it if you don't ask for it. And I say just, I mean, the worst they can say is please cut it down, right? They're not going to say add in more, please. So I just say, you know, make it high, and then assume they're going to say anyway, give us 3 budgets, you know, the one you want, the one that's got everything, and the one that's 2 cut, like they always do. So I just say, you know, I think you've really done a beautiful job on it. Just don't undercharge.
Okay. Are there any questions or suggestions or other comments? Again, we'll have another opportunity to take a look at this.
Yeah, I think if you
I have one
eyeball it a
question.
little more and get some more specific, or not specific, but you know, proposed increases, I think that would be helpful. And I'm with Marguerite. I think that you know, my personal feeling is that the department is way under financed, and the needs keep growing. They're not going away. I think there's a huge bubble of mental health demand right now, and it's just pushing and getting bigger and bigger. And I think we need to be have the resources in order to meet that demand. So I will go to the mat for you on this, because I think it's really important. Well, I'm not going to wrestle anyone.
Yeah.
Darn it.
It would be interesting.
I would pay money. I would pay money. to
Yes,
see that,
there's a
Sarah.
fundraiser. Right.
It was either Sarah or Marguerite who said it, you know, as far as the software is concerned, if it saves your time and time is very valuable, you know, we should frame it like that. You know, it opens people up to people to do other things.
Right, right. Yeah, I can't show it to you because it has confidential information in it, but you would be appalled at the current spreadsheet we're working off of. It's got, I think, 16 or 17 sheets long, and each sheet has immense amounts of information on it, and it's so overwhelming.
Yeah, that sounds really time consuming.
yeah. And we're trying to be organized, but it's difficult. So.
All right, any other questions?
No, just we support you for asking for more. And if we have to go to advisory, we will.
Okay, understood. Thank you. I'll have more information for you soon.
Great. We'll see it next month. May I have a motion for adjournment?
Is that everything on the agenda?
Yeah.
It is.
Wow.
It's 9:18.
Good, good.
God.
I'm glad. I was worried that there was more. I'm glad.
Motion to adjourn then.
There's a second.
Second.
All right. All in favor, we'll do a roll call vote. Sarah Micas.
Aye.
Marguerite Landry.
Aye.
Nancy Sutton.
Aye.
Lauren Ritchie. Aye. And Susan Byer.
Aye.
All right. We will see you next month. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Well done,
everybody.
Chair. Bye, everybody. Have a good week.
You too.
Trick or treat.